All right, it's no secret the mob, the media, rushed to judgment again and got almost all of the facts wrong about Kyle Rittenhouse. And while many of their lies were debunked during the trial, and by the way, a lot before the trial, some mob members are still having trouble letting go. They can't help themselves. They're wrong, let's see, on every major case. Oh, like Trump-Russia collusion with Russia that never happened. We have Ferguson, Missouri. We have Freddie Gray, Baltimore, Maryland, Cambridge Police, UVA, Duke Lacrosse, and on and on and on. They get it wrong all the time, and they're having a hard time letting this one go. Take a look.
3 people got shot.
Yeah.
2 people were murdered.
Yeah.
To me, it's murder. I'm sorry.
The videos show him running each time and turning around, which they said, legally speaking.
Except that he came there to
Agreed. That's what I'm saying.
Violence.
You shouldn't have.
That's the problem.
I don't believe in open carry.
I have a question for the ladies of The View. Now, if somebody takes a loaded gun and points it right at your head, what are you going to do? If somebody a mob chases you and gets you on the ground and they have a foot about to stomp on your face and push your face into the pavement, what are you going to do? Or if somebody uses a skateboard as a weapon to attack you, what are you going to do there? Joining us now, 10 weeks in a row, #1 on the New York Times list, American Marxism. He is the host of Life, Liberty, and Levin, a nationally syndicated radio host. There's a reason I call him the Great One. Mark Levin, a lot of ground here. Dying to get your thoughts.
First of all, why do we care what they say on The View? They have a collective IQ of -17. They're like a bunch of yentas who sit around, and who really cares what they think? I certainly don't. Part of the problem is, you asked earlier, the breakdown of law and order. The breakdown of law and order has been institutionalized by the Democrat Party and their media. It's been institutionalized by them. And the media is so racist now. We don't have a free press. We have a tyrannical press. All you have to do is spend a couple hours watching MSLSD or CNN, what I call the Constipated News Network, and you'll see it. It's very, very quick. They talk about white justice, systems set up for white people. That's Joy Reid and her limited brain capacity. Then there's another one in there, Tiffany, I think her name is. She's trying to outdo Joy Reid. But this is a company, MSNBC, that's owned by Comcast. I just want everybody to know that out there. They own NBC and Comcast. And AT&T, well, they own CNN. So these huge corporations, these corporatists, they think they're buying silence by siding with these Marxists, these kooks, these radicals. And in fact, what's happening is the media in this country, they're destroying this country. Rittenhouse case involved 3 white men, all felons. That's the commonality. 1 white teenager, Rittenhouse, a white judge, white prosecutors, and white defense counsel. And somehow it was racist. That's pretty sick. Waukesha, you have another felon. So the 3 people shot in the Rittenhouse case were all felons. The individual who mowed down innocent human beings the other night, he's another felon. Who is it that seeks the felon vote? Who is it that seeks to have felons as part of their base? Who is it, Bernie Sanders, who said that he thinks people still serving time should vote, whether they're on death row or the rapists or whatever? So this is part of the Democrat Party base. That's why their media jump out front and always defend the felons against earnest Americans. And the Democrat Party campaigned for that vote. And the Democrat Party and their surrogates in the media, they confuse vigilantism with good Samaritanism. Kyle Rittenhouse was a good Samaritan. He wasn't a vigilante. Everybody knows what a vigilante is. But here's what the racist media on MSNBC and CNN did not report. That is the slaughter that takes place in our cities. Largely black-on-black crime, largely young black men killing young black men. It never passes their lips in this white-dominated society. It's an amazing thing. CRT, white-dominated society. But we have a real problem of the kind of mayhem and slaughter that's taking place in our cities. Here is CBS local in Chicago, over 30 shootings and 6 killed. So let me do something for a few minutes, Sean, that's a little unusual, but you will not hear on self-righteous MSNBC or CNN, and haven't. At least 6 people have died from gun violence in the city of Chicago as of Saturday night. The fatal shooting over the weekend, a man was shot and killed, another was wounded in West Angle. A 35-year-old man was found inside the residence with a gunshot wound to his hip. A 45-year-old was also found in a parked vehicle outside with gunshot wounds to the chest and head. 35-year-old victim was transported to the Chicago Fire Department by that department to Christ Hospital and was initially listed in good condition. A 45-year-old victim was transported to Advocate Christ Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. In another deadly incident, a 22-year-old man was shot in the head Saturday afternoon. The victim was standing on the corner minding his own business when an unknown person walked up and shot him in the head. The victim was transported to Mount Sinai Hospital in critical condition and then died. Police also said a 47-year-old man was shot in a drive-by around 2 p.m. on Saturday. He stood on a sidewalk. He suffered a gunshot wound to the lower right abdomen. He was taken to the Stroger Hospital and was pronounced dead. It's all in Chicago. Sunday, a 19-year-old man was shot in the head in the, your South Shore neighborhood. The victim, identified as, was pronounced dead at the scene. 14-year-old boy was killed in a shooting in the city's Roseland neighborhood. Police say he was near a sidewalk. These are all innocent people being slaughtered in our big city. This is only Chicago. But we're worried, you see, about vigilantes. You see, like Kyle Rittenhouse, who defended himself, shot 3 felons, and then another felon is out driving, and yes, trying to kill people at a parade. A 16-year-old boy suffered a gunshot wound. I'm not done. On Saturday. Police said the victim was walking. When he heard shots and felt pain, the victim was transported to the Stroger Hospital. A 34-year-old man was shot during a robbery. Police said the victim was outside when he was shot at multiple times by an unidentified male offender who fled the scene. He was shot in the head and in the arm. Let's see. A 27-year-old man suffered a gunshot wound in the back of the head in a Roseland neighborhood Saturday morning. The victim was transported to the Advocate Christ Medical Center in critical condition. A man was shot following a verbal altercation early Saturday morning in the Belmont Heights neighborhood. And you know what? I've only just gotten started, America. Here's some more. Here's some more. Here's some more. I just want to know why on MSLSD and the Constipated News Network, why they claim to be so concerned and that they don't cover any of this. If I hadn't read this, what I just read to you would not be on any national television program, not one. Why aren't people concerned about felons roaming around? Why aren't they concerned about, Joy Reid says, the whites are concerned about property rights, because that's what the nation was founded on. Maybe next time she negotiates her contract, she can remember that because she seems to be into property too. But all that said, it's not that. It's not about a white dominant society. It's not about corrupt judges or corrupt police or corrupt juries. It's about a culture in decline. And the culture in decline is led by the racist media in this country, which appears by these giant corporations, whether it's Comcast, AT&T, whether it's Bezos over the Washington Post or whatever it is. They cannot hire enough reprobates, malcontents, and miscreants who hate this country, who undermine this nation, who do not care for law enforcement, because when they go home, they're not going into these communities. It's like professional sports. They run around with stuff on their sneakers and on their shirts, and they think they're revolutionaries. Meanwhile, they support communist China. They won't say a damn thing about the Uyghurs being slaughtered, the Christians being rounded up, the Tibetans being killed, but they'll talk about slavery that occurred 150, 200 years ago. We can talk about that, but what about modern day humanity and so forth? No. The people on TV, they go home. People need to know. When you go to the studio, you're treated like a king or a queen with makeup and all the rest. They go home, everything's fine. Then they show up for the revolution in front of the camera. Then they go back home to their nice neighborhoods and so forth and so on. I'm just saying this. The greatest threat we face in this country right now is the American media and the Democrat Party, who are at war with our culture, at war with our society, and at war with our constitutional system.
Mark, I got a question.
That's it.
I have a question before you say, that's it, I'm done. One question.
Too late.
Legal remedy in a case like this. I had Nicholas Sandman. You know what they did to that kid for wearing a MAGA hat at a pro-life rally, and they lied about him, and he's now already settled with media organizations. Does Kyle Rittenhouse have a case against all these people in the media that lied about him, called him a white supremacist. Does he have a case against Joe Biden, for example?
All right, let's take Biden first. Based on the Bill Clinton case, the Paula Jones case, he absolutely does have a case against Joe Biden. There is no presidential immunity because he wasn't president. He was a private citizen, and the Supreme Court ruled on that. Yes, you can bring a civil case against somebody who becomes president of the United States based on what they've done prior to that time. So he would have a case against Joe Biden, even though he's a public figure. Look, even though the Supreme Court has rewritten the First Amendment in a way that protects reprobates in public office, you can still overcome it. If somebody makes a definitive statement that you are a white supremacist, and they have no evidence whatsoever, and they had no evidence at the time, despite all the levels the courts have put in place, that is a strong case. I saw this Tiffany, and I don't know her last name, on MSNBC, even after the trial. She talked about Kyle being something like a young white supremacist murderer. That is a great case to bring against somebody like her, as far as I am concerned. We're not talking about defending a free press here. This press isn't free, it's tyrannical. This press is supporting activities and supporting movements that are destructive of this country, what I call this American Marxist movement. If you're going to go on TV and be a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, and you're going to do it night after night after night, as far as I'm concerned, yes. And I'll tell you one other thing. They are destroying or trying to destroy the character of anybody who doesn't agree with them. So in other words, you can be black, you can be brown, you can be red, or whatever it is. If you don't join in this Marxist revolution that they're pushing, or this critical race theory, or the degrowth movement they call climate change, you don't believe in the redistribution of wealth from the people who produce it to the people who don't, from the private sector, this massive monopoly of a government we have, they start characterizing you, and they use racism. There was a study done by a guy at the Heritage Foundation about a year ago. It's in my book, and he points out that the use of white supremacy and the use of racism and so forth by the media, by the New York Times, it was up 1,200%. By the Washington Post, it was up 1,500%. And when they talk about white racists, they're not talking about the Klan or the neo-Nazi. They're talking about all white people, and including people of color who love this society and love this country. And not only that, they have an anti-Semite problem, too, in the media. Look how they protect Tlaib and Omar and AOC. And so I think we need to start focusing on companies like Comcast and AT&T and others. We need to start going to their shareholder meetings. We need to start demanding that they,
Mark, I gotta roll,
report the news or they report opinion. But without all these racist bastards who go on television, whether they're tenured professors or something else, who go on TV and are lighting fuses all over the place for which they take no responsibility and no consequences. That's it again.
All right, that's it. I actually did that at the Patriot Awards in your honor.